Okay, in the tutorial for today, I'm going to look at the problems, causes, solution kind of essay. Now, to give an example, an illustration, I'm going to use an essay from a student. I won't say who the author is, but I joined a couple of groups on Facebook, IELTS, Advantage, and MOOC course, and occasionally people post an essay or a task one kind of question, and they ask people for some comments and some help. So I was taking a look at a couple of essays. I'm going to make a couple of videos for today. I'm going to do a causes and a solutions one, which we'll take a look at now, and then later I'm going to do a two-part question. So I'm going to use a couple of student essays to give an example, and I'm going to show the structure that they might use with the one which I usually recommend because it's nice and easy and simple to use, and I'm going to show an example essay which I wrote to answer the same question. Now, what I've been doing when I write these essays now as examples, I write them very quickly because I don't want people to think that everything that I do is perfect. It isn't. I know that some of the teachers, when they're writing example essays, they spend probably more than 40 minutes and they make it perfect. Well, I just try and do it in the same time as you would be allowed, or possible. Well, actually, it's maybe half, because I think aloud, which is maybe why the example essays are not so good. But still, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Now, let me show you. Oops, it's not that one. It's the, where is it? Family closeness. Okay, yeah. So this is this is essentially a cause and solution essay. If we take a look at it, if we look at the question, it is generally accepted that families are not as close as they used to be. Okay, give some reasons why this change has happened. In other words, what has caused it, and suggest how families could be brought closer together. In other words, offer a solution. So it's essentially a cause and a solution question. Now, the problem, solution, cause, solution essay question types are essentially identical in terms of structure. If we take a look at a structure here, it's basically the same. For every essay, as we've seen, you paraphrase the question according to some people, blah 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 blah, and we need an outline sentence. What you will say, essentially, you have to answer the questions. What do you think is the cause, and what do you think is a solution? Then, in paragraph 2, you say what the problem cause is, explain it, what's the result or consequence, give an example. Paragraph 3, what's the solution? A solution to this is blah blah blah. This will solve the sort of problem by doing this, and then an example. Then conclusion, sentence 1, a summary of your main points. Sentence 2, prediction or recommendation if you've got time, if you can actually think of anything. So let's have a look at this student's version, and we'll see. So families are not as close. Give some reasons. How can they be brought closer together? Family bonds are sacred. It is the most notable unconditional love that anyone could have. Nowadays, relatives are not as close as before. The busy developed life that we're having has influenced our social personal life. For one, feelings and the joy be totally missed. So that doesn't really paraphrase the question. It's writing about the topic. It's saying a few things. The one, feelings of the joy, family gatherings, but we know that they're not as close because the topic sentence, it tells us this. What we do want to know in the introduction is, why do you think this has changed? What's the cause? And we want a solution. Now, here, I will try and address the causes of this problem, and I'm going to offer some solutions. Well, yeah, but what are they? That's the question. So in terms of introductions, it's rather general. It's a little bit vague. It doesn't actually say much. So let's have a look at an example. Let me make this a bit larger so you can see it. So I paraphrased it. It could be argued that these days many families are more distant from one another than in the past. Okay. I believe that in many countries, in other words, I'm writing about the cause now, in many countries the economic crisis and the need to find employment around the world is a principal reason for this change. Actually, I don't think that. But it's not about what your real opinion is. It's not about the actual answer. It's a test of English, not a test of how well do you understand the geopolitical and economic situation in the world. It isn't asking that. So I restate the question. It's argued these days many families are distant. I believe that in many countries the economic crisis, in other words, people can't find a job in their country, is a principal reason. Now, you notice I don't say a lot about it here. There's not a lot of detail because you explain and expand in paragraph 2. And what's a solution? Suggest making use of the internet to connect family members as a possible solution. So again, I don't say a lot because I'm going to be explaining and giving an example in paragraph 2 and 3. So that's the introduction, essentially. You get straight to the point. Restate the question. It is argued that families blah blah blah, and then say, okay, this is the reason and this is the solution. Okay, now structure. So that's, you paraphrase and you give an outline sentence. Then, in paragraph 2, state what the cause is. In this case, explain it, what's the result or consequence, and give an example. So let's go back to the student's essay. Firstly, one of the main reasons for this problem is the way the world evolved in the recent years. Okay. For example, globalization and centralization helped older people seek employment to travel across the world to big cities. That's rather a lengthy sentence, and we've got a bit of grammar, but I'm not going to focus on that today. So also different companies try to save them. So we've got 2 different ideas. So globalization, people seek better employment, they're looking for a job, so they leave their families behind. Then we've got a second idea, different companies try to save, not obligated. Okay. Most effective solution, in my opinion, is that the government. So then we've got a solution to this second part, but we don't have a solution to the first part. So it's not very well organized, we could say. Okay, there's some good ideas there, but the organization needs a bit of work. So let's have a look at my example. Now, I like to keep things clear and simple. Okay, we only need 4 sentences. One of the things the criteria is calling for is that logical progression, the development of your ideas. So that basically means that every sentence needs to build on the previous sentence, having a logical link. So due to economic difficulties, many young people around the world are having to move to big cities, often in other countries, to find employment. Okay. Obviously, this means that family members will be separated for long periods of time. So again, you see that logic. This leads to this, leads to this. An example. For example, a recent survey by the Spanish found that over 350,000 young Spaniards have left Spain to other EU countries in the last 5 years due to the economic crisis there. As a consequence, there is a fear that Spain will have lost a generation as so many families are split up. Now, that's not too bad. I wrote it in a bit of a hurry, but this is just to illustrate the general idea. So you've got your main idea. Due to economy, young people are having to move. Obviously, this means that family members will be split up. A survey, which I invented, but it's probably a grain of truth there, because there is quite a lot of young Spanish people have had to leave. So it's plausible anyway. As a consequence, blah blah blah. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's not too bad. So as you'll see, one thing that you need is to move from the general to the specific. So you start off with the general theme, families are not as close, when you move to a specific example, a specific reason and detail. So now let's have a look at the structure again. Well, paragraph number 3 is quite straightforward. We just need a solution, in other words. So you state the solution. A solution to this problem is, this will solve the problem because blah blah blah, and then an example. So let's have a peep, see what we've got. Another major cause is the tremendous technological evolution. Much young get alienated. So what he's doing here, essentially, he's talking about the topic. He's giving reasons why families are separated. Family members for checking with the phones, okay. And then he offers a solution about restricting the use of phones and internet. Okay, so there's some good ideas there. But, you know, what it's asking is for a reason why the change has occurred. So he's given 2, and then he's given a solution for each, more or less. But in terms of organisation, it's not as well organised and structures as it could have been. So let's have a look at different example. Okay, so now I like to spell things out. You know, this is a reason, this is the problem, this is the solution. So the examiner, in other words, is in no doubt as to what you're talking about, well, writing about, you know. So in order to tackle this issue or problem, I suggest that making use of the many opportunities the internet offers for communication could be a possible solution. So you can see, you know, I'm spelling things out. I believe the reason for this change is, and a solution is, a reason and a solution, a consequence and a solution. So we've got a clearly expressed position all the way. You know, this leads to this leads to this. We're using the same linking words. So the examiner essentially knows exactly where the essay is and what it's talking about. So, making use of many opportunities the internet offers, blah blah blah. As many households have internet and access to computers, it should not be too difficult for absent relatives to keep in touch, such as Skype, for example. That many families are making use of this now is illustrated by research at the University of Madrid. Again, not a real example, but again, nobody is going to check, which suggests that the number of older Spaniards taking computer courses in Spain has doubled. The main reason for this is so mothers, fathers, grandparents, etc. can be computer literate in order to keep in touch with their sons and daughters, grandchildren, etc. So we've got a specific thing. So I say here, lots of young Spaniards have left Spain because of the crisis. How to solve this? Well, use the internet such as Skype. An example of how this is true, we can see that older Spaniards are taking computer courses so they can use Skype and the internet to keep in touch. So that's a possible solution. So what's the conclusion? Well, basically it's a summary of your main points, and you can make a prediction or a recommendation if you like. So if you take a look, in conclusion, our social lives wouldn't be healthy without connecting to our roots. Should get closer. It's a one thing. Family members are guaranteed to watch your back. Well, that's basically irrelevant. Government should begin decentralization. So, right, we've got one mention of his main idea, of one of his ideas, decentralization. Should be aware of the consequences and the harm, technology. So, it isn't bad. It's not bad, but still, it's not as clear and connected and cohesive as it could be. So let's have a look at the conclusion here. In conclusion, so restate the topic, although many families are split up due to the crisis, making use of online communication tools is a possible solution to this problem. A recommendation. I recommend that those who are abroad make time to call their families on a regular basis, and that those at home take some lessons to be able to make good use of internet apps such as Skype. So you can see how I lay things out right from the start. So I move from the general, families are not as close, to the specific. What does that mean exactly? So it could be argued many families are distant. Okay. Why? One cause is the crisis and the need to find employment. Okay. And a solution, making use of the internet. And then you spell it out. Many young people are having to move around the world. Okay. Obviously, this means that family members will be separated. An example, 350,000 young Spaniards have left Spain. As a consequence, Spain might have lost a generation as a consequence, because of families are split up and separated. So how can we solve this? Or tackle, or can solve? Well, an obvious answer. I mean, you may think, well, this is rather simple, but again, it's not a university level essay. You're not writing a master's thesis. You're not writing a PhD. It's not about the actual logic and there has to be an internal logic, but it's not about the actual answer. It's about the language which you use to answer. Okay, in other words, so although this may seem a bit easy, people leave, let's use the internet to keep in touch. That's because the IELTS, it's not the same kind of an essay as a university essay. So I mean, if you were to give like this in a university, they say, well, this is very simplistic, you know, it's very one-sided and monocausal. Well, yeah, but the IELTS is not about that. So keeping things nice and simple is a bonus. This is what you are supposed to do, to show a logical progression, a development, cohesion, coherence, etc. Okay, so, you know, I say in order to solve this, we need internet access. They can keep in like touch, such as Skype. So I say, you know, in conclusion, you know, it's unfortunate, but it's a fact. People have to live in other parts of the world. So how can we solve this? Well, use the internet, and that's it, essentially. So I'm not sure of the word count. Let's have a look. 336, that's not too bad. That would do fine. So that's a general idea about how to do the cause and solution. Now, the problems and solutions, I may make a different tutorial on that, but it's basically the same. You just substitute problem for cause. It's basically the same. Identical, yeah. So that's it for today. I'll post these on my blog. There'll be a link in the video, and if you want to write to me, if you want to send me a message, let me just find you can write to me if you have any questions, if you want to know anything, if you've got any suggestions or recommendations. Let me make this bigger. Well, Kevin at prepareielts.com. Boom. So if you've got any questions, if you need any tutorials about any examples, any comments, you can send me a message there. Okay, great. That's it. I'll see you later.